Falling in love is a magical feeling. I'm talking about that kind of love that makes you want to stand outside of somebody's house with a boombox and play music and yell you love them. People say love knows no bounds, but for my guests today, their love story came with many obstacles, from being an interracial couple to dealing with family members who did not initially approve of their marriage. The two overcame the obstacles and the opinions of others. So how did they face the hurdles of an intercultural relationship and build a successful business along the way? We're talking about the colors of love today on Portia. Hello and welcome to the show. You are in for a special conversation today about intercultural relationships and the love it takes to sustain those love ties. The late Maya Angelou once said, "Love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, leaps fences, and penetrates walls to arrive at its destination, full of hope." And my guests today know exactly what it means to go against the grain and love without any limitations. Please welcome to the show Adaeze and Lenny Rosenberg. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Portia.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Holding hands, that's always a good sign when we start out holding hands. I love it.
Starting positive.
I love your love story, and I want our viewers to hear more. Let's start from how you met.
Well, I like to say it was like a dark and stormy night.
That's her version.
That's her version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You believe me, but
She's always dark on the version.
dark, stormy, rainy night in Malibu, California, and I did an interior decorating, but I noticed a shadowy figure at this establishment, this party that we went to, and I noticed that, there was a man there, cute, but very quiet and like stoic at the same time, and I was trying to like mingle and get to know people. So I did come up to him and I said, "Hi, how are you? My name is Adaeze." And then he's just like, "Lenny." And I was like,
"Really? Is that what you said?"
"Yeah, just Lenny."
You just said, "My name is Lenny." That's it.
That's
You need to
That's
stick
her
it.
version.
Your version is?
My version is I was very polite and I introduced myself as Lenny Rosenberg.
No.
And I asked who you were because you struck me when you walked in the door. I noticed her from afar.
You saw her when she
I was
first
sitting all the way
walked in.
across the room, and I literally fell in love when she walked through the door.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you didn't get that vibe.
No,
You
I
had
didn't
no
get that vibe.
idea.
See the way he's explaining
I was
it?
playing hard to get.
Is that what that was? So tell me
Absolutely.
how things evolved. And you started dating. You working
Correct.
together, sort of, kind of, but you started dating.
Yes.
Absolutely. He, had different restaurants, and I did interior decorating, and I asked him, what was his thoughts on interior decorating and design, and he didn't really have any answers to that. After we were talking, and he told me that, he has a restaurant that he's working, he's like working the restaurant, and he basically invited me to come to the restaurant and
help
take
out.
a look. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay. The menu looks great. The exterior is a
The
no.
food was great.
And the food was great. Yeah, you can't leave that part out.
Yeah, but
you
you
saw
should-
where there were some
yeah.
things where you could help out. But it was
Absolutely.
in getting to work together. You guys
Absolutely.
started dating one another.
Yes.
And that's where there may have been some, shall we say, hiccups, not for you two, but for family, right? Your family is Nigerian.
Absolutely.
My family is Nigerian, and they're very, rigid and bold, and they have this vision of how things should be, right? Because things were tough for them. So I'm from Houston. It was very segregated back then. My mom worked very, very hard to get to where she was, and my dad too. So in their mind, they always want me or any of my family members to marry a doctor, engineer, or scientist. That's it. That's all.
From Nigeria.
From Nigeria.
Right,
Because
right.
they understand like the culture, they understand the clothing, like what I'm wearing now. This is an Ankara. There's subliminal messages. Lenny wouldn't understand that, but a Nigerian male would understand the message that I'm conveying based on what I'm wearing. They understand the
Understood.
food. I would understand them. So that was their
Unique
vision.
historical and cultural experiences.
Correct.
And Lenny Rosenberg. Your Jewish faith and family tradition very rich and strong as well, right? There were some concerns from your family as well.
Portia, hiccups is an understatement.
I was just trying to make sure we put it in context. Tell me about your family's experience with having you date a truly African and American woman.
My family is a very traditional Jewish family. My father's from Hungary. My mother's family's from Poland. My father came here after the war. He was a Holocaust survivor. So needless to say, he wanted me to marry a Jewish girl. He wanted all his offspring to marry Jewish, because it's, according to Jewish religion, you don't want to break the tradition and marry a non-Jew, because it's not a mitzvah to carry on an offspring who's Jewish.
Understood. So a lot of context here and a lot of history, but you guys said, you know what, essentially bump all that. I'm going to propose. You proposed, and your family said, wait a minute, you've missed a big step here.
Correct.
Explain.
The step is you have to present a kola nut. So before Lenny proposes to me, he has to call my father and say, you know, I want to marry your daughter. And then there's something called a knocking of the door ceremony. And in Igbo, that's the tribe that we're from. It's called Ikuakanuza. So once you hear knocking of the door or Ikuakanuza, you know it's about to go down.
And we should tell our viewers we're watching something from a part of the ceremony, right?
Correct.
But did you tell Lenny you had to do all this when he proposed, or did you not know he was proposing?
She didn't tell me half of it, and she's leaving out the best part.
Which is?
All the liquor that you got to present to the father.
Understood.
It's
this is more than a conversation.
It's about 10 conversations.
It's part of the tradition. It's who we are. You do present libations, a certain quantity and name brand, but most importantly, without the kola nut, you have to present the kola nut to be blessed. So once the chief does the prayer, then you can move forward in getting married.
And then you get married.
We got married.
So obviously folks started to come around.
Yes.
This is absolutely beautiful. You can tell it's truly a reflection of your heritage for both of you, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
How important was it to make sure that that was a part of the conversation in the wedding?
It was very important. You know, I wanted to keep up with her traditions. I knew how important it was to her and her family. And because I love her so much, I wanted to do that for her.
And we should point out, family members came. This was accepted, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody
Yes,
just recognizes love is love, and that's just, it is what it is.
Correct.
Everybody was happy in the end.
That is good. That's the perfect way to end.
For the most part.
Right. You know, we always some complications. That's the perfect way to end this chapter. We're going to pick up the next chapter in just a moment. After the break, you are going to learn how Adaeze and Lenny's love story caught the eyes of major networks and streaming platforms. That's coming up when we return. Hey, so you like the show? Then let's connect on social media. Check us out on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at Portia TV Show. Hello and welcome back to the table. We are talking today to Adaeze and Lenny about their unique love story with Adaeze's Nigerian roots and Lenny's Jewish origins. The duo merged together and created a multicultural baking experience. I'm sure you're going to say like nothing else out there, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure you might be able to guarantee that,
There's
right?
nothing else out there like that.
And we should point out your background is you're a restaurateur. I mean, this is what you do, but you also are a baker, and you love, this is your family tradition,
Yes.
bakeries, right?
My father's actually, his whole background is bakeries. He owned many, over 2020 bakeries in the tri-state area.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you grew up in a bakery. You knew how to bake early on.
I was born in the bakery, just about.
Doesn't that work out nicely? So let's talk about how what the bakery looks like before, and then after you marry this beautiful Nigerian woman, how things changed a bit.
Well, B's Bakery, which is our bakery, was a Jewish bakery since 1968. Actually,
a lot of history there.
Actually the year I was born. And long story short, it's been a traditional Jewish bakery. When we bought it, which is what we do for a living, about a couple of years ago, we decided to make it multicultural.
Why?
Why? Because that's who we are, if you can see.
We are.
But why was that important in terms of the product, right? Because somebody could make the argument, okay, well, I mean, you can still keep selling it, but why did you want to make sure that that was carried on throughout the business?
Well, most importantly, you know, most bakeries have a lot of different multicultural products in it, but we wanted to really emphasize on it because we wanted to put out to the public to have Nigerian products there, to bring in a different public, a different customer into the store, bring in Ukrainian customers, Israeli customers. Every culture is welcome. Like my wife always says, everyone's got have to have a seat at the table.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And did it work initially, or were some customers like, wait a second, what happened to the? And you were like, no.
It's like
now
you
we
said
got
earlier. There's always going to be hiccups, right? Because you do have the Jewish clientele. They're used to things being a certain way. We're used to our kosher food. What's going on? This looks different. So you're going to get pushback because it's something different. But then once they started to understand why we're doing it and seeing the designs and understanding the different cultural aspects, learning about things like the kola nut, they're like, oh, that means you're blessed if you do the prayer. So then they just want that positive aspect.
Yeah, it just always goes back to once we learn more about one another, it's usually something that is enlightening and encouraging and inspiring. And I have to assume you did the interior decorating.
Absolutely.
Maybe mix things up a little bit.
Yes. Keep it fun, lively, not boring. I always tell Lenny, you go into some of the restaurants, you want to fall asleep. And then you also have to think about like the younger generation, right? They don't want to be seen at a place that just doesn't fit the bill.
Right. Yeah,
so again, like the older Jewish customers, they'll come in and they'll just pick up the menu. And I'm like, no, we're getting rid of the menu. We're going to save money. And bam, we're going to put TV screens where they can come in.
And speaking of TV screens, people can see you on TV screens all over the place. Now, let's talk just quickly. Tell us about how you guys are spreading this message and your sweet treats.
We decided to create a show called It's a Sweet World, which is basically, like I've always said, nothing else out there like it. It's a multicultural show where my baking team and her design and construction team come together.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at a clip.
We're going to sprinkle kola nut shavings. A little bit of powdered sugar for a look that looks like a kola nut. When you eat the whole thing together, it gives it such a wonderful taste. Juan, Louise. Well, I was just cutting it so you guys could taste it. What do you think, Juan?
How many?
I'm thinking about 200.
200? It's a lot.
We can do it, trust me.
It's really important that other people try to understand other cultures, to further explore, to be curious, but in a positive way. Curiosity will spark more magical moments.
A lot more magical moments. We have just a few seconds left in this chapter, but just quickly tell me the biggest lesson you have learned about each other in this process.
Respect each other.
Oh, this is the first time I'm hearing this, so this is great.
See what happens here on the show? You said respecting each other.
And I just learned as well, just don't take no for an answer and get emotional for what you want in a positive way.
Right. Be passionate, but it sounds like it's also some pick and choose. You don't have to get worked up over everything.
Every little thing, correct.
A lot of things are just going to fall into place the way they're supposed to, right?
Yes.
Good lessons. Good lessons followed by some good treats coming up, I understand, right? We're going to talk a little bit more about that kola nut, the secret ingredient to love, and a whole lot more, right? Up next, remember that kola nut that Lenny, they were talking about? Well, before that proposal could be official, he had to find it. And guess what else they've done? Now they found a way to make it the key ingredient in one of their signature desserts. We're going to get a taste and a treat and show you how to make it at home when we return. Hello and welcome back to the conversation. We've moved into the kitchen with the owners of Bee's Bakery, Adaeze and Lenny, all the way from Tarzana, California.
Yes.
Very popular, very popular. So it's good to have you here. I want to talk about how your Nigerian culture influenced what you are about to make. So first, tell us what you're about to make.
Well, we're making what we call our signature red velvet kola nut cupcake in honor of my wife and her heritage. It's a red velvet cupcake, which we've made in bees for years, but we enhanced it and changed it, and now we call it the red velvet kola nut cupcake.
But just all it takes is the nut to change
it.
everything, right? But for you, it's so much more than that,
It's
right?
more than that. It's a blessing involved. Everyone can share my world and have a seat at the table, like we say, and just enjoy.
Enjoy. So let's enjoy. Talk to me. What does it
This
take
is the
to
kola
make?
nut, by the way.
That's the kola nut. Show us one more time. Let me see.
Sure.
All right. Very good. Okay. So obviously we're not sticking this in there. You ground it up. Tell me where
Ground
we
it up
go.
right here. So we've already put in most of the dry ingredients, flour and sugar and baking soda and salt. Now we're going to put in the cinnamon.
So we're putting this in. This is the ground kola nut. Okay. I feel like I got to get all that in there, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Is that now for somebody who's never had a kola nut? Because I'm trying to get to the bottom of it here. Tell me as you continue to put these
Sure.
other ingredients
Put
in.
the cinnamon in.
Cinnamon,
Okay. And now we're gonna
bitter, chocolatey. Give me some
Well,
cocoa-y.
usually it's a caffeine stimulant. So basically there is a bitter taste to it. So
Yeah.
that's why we're grounding it.
Right.
When we ground it up, we'll add it in there, and then you're not able to taste that bitter flavor.
Gotcha.
But it is a bitter kola nut. So.
Okay, gotcha. So what else is going in here? What did I miss?
gonna put the
Because I
oil
might
in.
actually try to pull this off at the house.
Well,
Let's see.
anyone can do this in their house, Portia. Anyone.
What else is it? How much was
That's the oil.
That's the oil, okay.
I'm going to let you put in the eggs.
2 eggs going in.
Yeah.
It smells really good.
There you go.
All right. We got just about 2 minutes here, so I'm going to hand
Okay.
that to you.
Now, most importantly, we're going to put in the red food coloring.
Red food color. That's how we get the red in the red velvet.
Yeah. Okay.
And so while we're waiting for that, and the magic of television, you know what's going to happen. Boom, finished product.
Cupcakes,
But
and then
the topping, the piping is very important here, right?
Absolutely.
So I'll show you how we decorate some of the cupcakes, and everyone can join in.
There you go.
Thank you.
We're going to make a very simple icing.
Okay.
We're going to spread some white icing on top, white buttercream icing.
Okay, you had me at the buttercream part.
So what you want to do is just put a glob of it on top, and then just try to smooth it out on top.
Okay. Is this?
It looks amazing.
Okay.
For
You are
first
so
timer.
kind.
Well,
You are so kind. Because you
see?
know this looks like I just slabbed.
You don't know how long it
This
took
us.
me to get it right. It looks good.
This is
You
good.
see, you're a
Okay.
baker already.
I'll take it, Lenny.
And
I'll
that's,
take it.
that's good. You got enough.
Oh,
there.
that's okay.
You see how he's telling you how much you have?
I love it.
Okay. Well, actually, now what you want to do is you want to flatten it out a little bit.
That wasn't flat enough, Lenny.
No.
Oops.
Okay, that's better.
Okay,
That's better.
thank you.
Now,
Interior decorated. I see you're over here doing. You got
Now-
your own version of
I got my own
flattened out
version.
too.
What we're going to do here is make a very simple version of
Will you
the
hold that
Israeli
up so
flag.
our viewers can see?
Sure.
Let me hold that up just so we can see the technique here.
Just like
I'm
that.
trying.
It's a little tough to
Is that-
squeeze out.
Okay.
And then we go like this.
What are we making here?
We're making the Israeli flag.
That's the Israeli flag.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 lines. Can we do a Nigerian flag? That's a little more complicated.
No, not as much. You would base it down with the green, and then after that, you would add white in the middle.
Gotcha. So we've got just a few seconds left. I have to taste this.
Okay.
This, okay? Because I can tell it smells good, so I know it's going to be good.
Good, huh?
And do you feel blessed? That's important.
I do feel blessed.
Oh,
I do
awesome.
feel blessed.
That's amazing.
To have told your story in particular. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you for
us.
having us.
Much
Absolutely.
appreciated.
Beautiful story. Much success to both of you.
Glad you enjoyed it.
You're going to be all right with these, you hear me? You're going to be just fine, both of you. We'll be right back. What a beautiful conversation about love, sacrifice, compromise, and compatibility. I'm grateful Lenny and Adaeze shared their beautiful love story and their delicious treats right here, all the way from California. And I want to acknowledge a couple of viewer comments before we close. After our first C-Suite Sisters episode about Black CEOs, CFOs, and COOs, a lot of you commented on social media about Taylor Shaw. She's an animator and the CEO of Black Women Animate Studios. Positively Lena said, as a lover of art and entrepreneurship, this is perfect. Love the show. And TJ said, loved it as well. All right. Be sure to be the reason why someone smiles today.